Hi, in this video I'm going to go over Dead Space 2 using my ENB and SweetFX. Now if you've not seen the setup video for installing the files, I will have a link to the setup video and mod in order to install the ENB and SweetFX on your Dead Space 2 game in the comments below. Now this will allow your game to run in a higher definition, as well as adding additional HDR, AAs, and other settings that will help to improve the overall look of the game. Now I'm using DSR in order to run it in 1440p, and you can check the mod notes on DSR and VSR in order to set it in the higher resolution. So what I'll do is I'll just go to the menu here, and I'll just show you the settings here that I'm using. Now, as I said, I'm running it in the 2560 by 1440. This allows me to play and record in 1440p. Now, as far as your render settings or your graphics quality, you can adjust that however you'd like. I just have it on the custom settings because I tend to turn off the bloom and the blur and motion blur. Although as far as the other settings, as you can see, everything else is on. So you can just adjust those as you'd like. Now, what I want to do is just show you how you can check to make sure that the ENB and SweetFX is working. When you first start the game, in order to check, you want to just push your pause break here. Now, as you can see, the game becomes a bit lighter, and this is the vanilla look to the game. And if you've noticed, what's happened is you kind of get this grayish layer over the game. It does make the game look a little lighter, although it does also take away from the definition and kind of makes everything grayish, washed out looking and smudgy. And if you notice, the blacks are kind of a grayish black rather than a true black, and the menu colors are kind of grayed also. Now I'll push the pause break again, and as you can see, you're getting the actual blacks and the base colors all coming through, with the definition coming through more clearly in the background, so you can make out all that fine detail. Now if you do want to adjust the brightness level, you just want to go back into the settings and the visuals, and you just want to go to the brightness there. Now as you can see, the brightness level is fine, although if you do want to bring up those darker areas, as once that layer is taken away, those areas become a bit darker looking, just bump up the brightness there a bit, and that'll kind of bring up those blacks in those background areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a new game here. Now, I won't be able to enable or disable the effects without pausing the game, as the pause break is also the game pause. So I'm just going to play through this first little area to let you see how the game should look and run when using the ENB and SweetFX combined with either the VSR or the DSR. Now the game colors shouldn't change, but as you can see, it should just bring all of those base colors out. So you're getting the actual base colors and the actual darks and blacks and such. Now, like Dead Space 1, this one does have an introduction into the game. So we're just going to watch this introduction and then we'll get started. Now, this introduction does kind of go into the game fairly quickly. So we'll just kind of go through the introduction here. Now, like in Dead Space 1, it starts off with Isaac watching a video of a conversation with his girlfriend. Now, they have improved the graphics from the first one to the second one, so her character does look more updated, the way that they've actually made her look, although the actual characters and such still remain basically the same. Now, if you haven't played the first Dead Space and you're starting off on the second Dead Space for some reason, then I would suggest either playing the first one first or going over that little recap video that they have in the options that kind of takes you through and kind of gives you a layout of what happened in the previous game. Even if you played the first one, you may want to watch that, as that kind of gives you a bit more information too, as far as the world state and such, and up to the incident in the Dead Space. Now, basically what we're seeing here is he's just going over what happened in the first game, and he's being questioned about it. And if you notice on the desk, the objects that they have are all related to the initial game, and these little clips of memory are actually gameplay scenes from the first game.
What did you find aboard that ship, Isaac?
Now, if you notice that the game is too dark, or that the kind of bleed over radius coming from the game is too strong, then what you want to do is just look over the setup video for accessing the SweetFX preset file, and you just want to change those HDR lines. The HDR radius line is kind of like your bleed over in the white frame that you get off objects and white sources. So if those are too strong, you just want to adjust that one. The other HDR line, the HDR power, is for increasing or decreasing the overall brightness of the game. So if you rather alter the brightness through the settings file, just alter the HDR power or the HDR radius for kind of the light sources and that bleed that you get from it. Now, the game starts fairly quickly here, so I'm gonna actually just get ready to play through the first area here and do a bit of gameplay. Now, as I said earlier, I'm just going to go through this first part to kind of show you, and I'm just going to stop after the first save point, and I'll just show you the save station and such. So we'll just kind of get started here, and as you can see, that necromorph problem from the initial game has followed over into this one. So basically all you're going to do is try and run through here and avoid everything that you can. Now, you can't fight in this first part, you can only run. So basically just keep avoiding them and you'll eventually get through this first area. So we've gotten out of that area there, and you're just going to go through, and you're going to want to save the game here. Now, this is the start of Chapter 1, so after you've saved here, you're just going to want to go through these next few areas, and you'll eventually come to an area where someone will let you out of your straitjacket. Now, I'm not going to play any further as I don't really want to spoil the game, but I will kind of just go around here, and as you can see, all the lighting and effects and everything is coming out quite nicely. So the game itself is running really smoothly, and it's running in the 1440p, as I said, with the DSR, and the ENB and the SweetFX with the added HDR and AAs and such have really brought out the game. So I'm just going to finish up at this point. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if there are any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, please enjoy your game, and I'll talk to you again.